Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen, to another video where today I decided to punish myself by playing the worst Transformers video game and trying to beat it while only in vehicle mode. Unfortunately, that would be Rise of the Darkspark. I wish I could be playing Transformers Fall of Cybertron or War of Cybertron. Unfortunately, I don't have access to those as of yet. I'm working on them. So to look at what we have to do, we have over 15 levels, and by over, I mean 15. And here are the different characters we're going to get to play as. We'll have a couple of things throughout the way. Of course, sections where it's like you have to pull a lever or whatever, I'll mention a couple. Those aren't going to make a fail of the challenge. To begin this, we have a problem. See, we start out in robot mode, and for this, we know that robot mode does not equal hard. So unfortunately, we are automatically failing the challenge. There are certain sections where you do have to do this walking, and we're not going to count it against us. But I am going to count it up here, as whenever you get close enough, because Drift waddles like a fucking penguin until he crouches, we see 3 enemies. As much as I would love to transform into a car mode to kill them, Drift decides, no, we're going to do something far better, far more elaborate, more superior. And then he decides to make us use the worst move in history with the worst sound ever. Take a listen. With all that, we get to sprint, and then finally unlock our vehicle. This means that we can finally enter combat for the first time and actually mean it. I will say, one thing I hate about this game is the vehicles are slow. Like, just painfully slow. Luckily, whenever we're in combat, we just need to be able to move side by side. And since we have so much ammo, we should be pretty good. There were a couple of sections to mention, like pushing a train, which you can't do in vehicle mode. But once you do that, you just quickly get to the next area that you can and transform back into vehicle mode. Even whenever Optimus Prime and Bumblebee landed, and I kind of hate Optimus's designs, Bumblebee is 50-50, but luckily for us, we can still stay in vehicle mode and just mow down enemies with our machine guns or our missiles, whatever we decide to do. This level is honestly pretty easy considering it is the first level. The level ends with Lockdown basically picking up a purple crystal, putting it in his chest, and stomping, which has the ability to freeze time? What the fuck? Yeah, this is a weird one. And the next few levels are going to be talking about the entire origin story, which starts us out in Soundwave, which I thought was going to be a lot of fun, until I realized a problem with the Insecticons. Or whatever the fuck they are. They're extremely small, which means it's kind of hard to hit them whenever they're up close, which is all these guys do. And you'll see, I almost ran the risk of dying right before the level even started. So, naturally, at any other chance, I decided to just drive away. You have Starscream and Shockwave here to back you up, so I would basically let them handle everything else. I would get to a safe distance, and then I'd start shooting. As long as those insect things don't get too close to me, I in fact am safe, which means that this run isn't possible. We get into another section where unfortunately Soundwave's car cannot pull a lever, so we have to transform and pull it once again. But this is where things take an interesting shift. See, we split off, and instead of playing as Soundwave for the entire level, we jump in between him and Shockwave. Shockwave is going to be one of the few characters who's honestly the most fun and normal to use, because Shockwave is a jet. The great thing about jets is it's easy to get distance, and it takes a second for us to be able to unlock Shockwave's vehicle mode, but once we do, we can finally transform and actually get back to shooting things pretty easily. The only thing to mention for Shockwaves is you do 3 boss battles, hard shells, which literally just had me standing still and firing rockets from a distance, occasionally taking a break to shoot other enemies, and the middle guy's not really worth it. Sharp Shot is actually kind of tricky. Just because, see these falls next to me? If I hit them, they'll actually give me damage and disrupt my sensors, or my HUD, basically making it a lot harder to actually see what's going on. And his sniper does do a good amount of damage, so you have to take breaks or you die. With Shockwave, or Soundwave, man, these characters are all so confusing, things switch up to where we just basically have to deliver Rumble from one point to another, which, yes, we do have to transform to, but I'm not counting this because we literally do nothing while in this state. Watch, we transform, we eject Rumble, we can look at other things, but we can't shoot them, and then we can transform back. It's basically a defend your position segment with just 4 different sections, so it's kind of doable. But this section ends with Starscream realizing that, oh, Shockwave managed to convert the Insecticons. So now we get to proceed further into the vault. This basically gets rid of the Insecticon enemies. They're not the only enemies in this place. Oh no, we get the lovely clones of Zeta Prime popping out of the ground in coffins. The game tries to tell me that these are Guardians, but I'm like, that's Zeta Prime. That is just Zeta Prime as a grunt. But he's not the most dangerous thing here. Oh no. The much dangerous thing here is a lot smaller. See those little flying balls? Yeah, those are awful. See, they do this kind of damage to us, but look at Starscream's health. He's already down, and I have to go revive him. Since I couldn't tell if the game would, fail me for if he's dead, I decided that I would allow myself to go and revive him. Then after I revive him, he left to his own fate once again. But yeah, those little circle things are absolutely hell on earth. Whenever we clear out the room, we get to the vault, and Shockwave points out that, okay, clearly a giant door and all the security means that what we're looking for is here. I keep thinking, maybe it's just gold, maybe it's just my secret supply of Kit Kats. But we get to switch over to play as Shockwave once again, and enter in the area that I swear to God is trying to deafen you. Don't believe me? Yeah, try and tell me that that is not trying to make you deaf. Yeah, I'll be waiting. There's more sections with these little orb things that are incredibly hard to hit, so luckily the missiles have an auto lock-on feature because I personally don't like trusting the machine guns to it. But all in all, you just clear out 4 different areas and we call it good. You know what? At least this game isn't using the rule of 3. Like, it may still suck, but at least the rule of 3 isn't just littered throughout this game. All in all, Shockwave is actually a really fun character to play as, just like any flyer, because it's all open. After all that's done, we get to see that the Autobots break into the vault. It's mainly Sideswipe and Ironhide. I don't have Ironhide yet, but I do have Sideswipe. Here's his picture. Or at least my figure. They take the Darkspark, so then that way now we get to play an Escort mission, but through the eyes of Sideswipe. Which I gotta say, it's not too bad. Sideswipe's actually a little bit more fun to play as, because for some reason, maybe it doesn't, maybe I just didn't notice, but Sideswipe just seems to move faster. The only thing I hate about his initial section is that after you clear out enemies, you have to then transform into robot mode for a few times, and then grapple Ironhide up. But since this is just more of a puzzle or a required to progress, we're not counting it against us. There is also this canyon here that is not really fun. You can't transform it to fight through it, so I decided not to attack anything, and then I tried to use my grapple to get through, but I couldn't beat the challenge here. There are a couple instances of this one Insecticon where you have to hit him with a melee attack in the back. I tried shooting him in the back, but it didn't work, which means unfortunately you have to transform and melee it, but this won't count. Finally, after what felt like a day and a half of playing, we arrived to get a brief cameo from Optimus and Bumblebee, who look pretty gray here for a second, but I guess that's just because the shadows do a really good job. The end of the level switches to where we play as Kickback. You can't transform in the beginning of his level, so you have to just keep going. So for that punishment, I decided to kick Ironhide in the nuts and plant an explosive on his back, but we all know that kicks in the nuts hurt the most, not the explosion. Ironhide's fine, I think. But moving on to the later half, you get to walk for a bit, which really sucks because the game doesn't want you to move fast, until you get to fly. This entire section is all about hitting different targets and covering Shockwave. Remember, it's just most of these Cybertron levels are just escort missions. So the lucky thing here is the game makes the environment for you to basically play as the flying mode, which makes it honestly a lot of fun and not really much different from a normal game. Except for the fact that the machine gun just has terrible accuracy, like, good God. In the end, Shockwave gets surrounded by 2 big boys despite the fact that I never saw them, so I never got a chance to kill them, and he decides to commit suicide. Oh my God, this video's gonna get demonetized. Oh no, wait, he's alive. Okay, never mind, let's move on. There is this section where you just have to carry this one piece around, and because you can't transform and fly it, you have to be in robot mode. But this is a little bit more of just a puzzle or anything, not exactly a combat section, so you know the deal here. We're gonna skip this for now. The next level gets us to play as Swindle, one of our favorite boys from Transformers Fall of Cybertron. This one has you, the beginning of the level has you pulling levers in different areas to create beacons. Why are we creating beacons? I don't know. The end of the level gives us a bit of Shockwave and Swindle talking, and then we get a sniper shot. And you'll never guess who that came from. Our boy, the Bumblebee clone, Left Jumper. I also have his action figure too. Anyway, the boss fight himself isn't actually too bad, because the game normally gives you a challenge to where you can defeat him without destroying the bridge. I still say, yeah, what's the fun in that? You destroy the bridges and you'll force him down to your level. Yes, you failed the side challenge, but it's not like it's a contingent to actually play this game. Then you just shoot him. He has this weird annoying habit where he does go invisible intentionally, but the auto turret can briefly pick up where he's at and fire at him. Doesn't do much damage, but it's still kind of cool to know that you can always tell where he's at any given time, which ruins his whole gimmick. There are some more enemies around here, but not too many that actually give us any trouble. And whenever you find him again, you just keep your rocket launcher loaded, and then you just shoot like there's no tomorrow, and he'll go down before you know it. Moving on, we get to Swindle's level, final level, I don't know how many times I have to keep messing this up, but where you have to destroy 3 turrets in consecutive order, which look a little something like this. Same, Q, and then we're a little bit more escorting of Shockwave, and then you get to play as Bruticus. Now, Combiner has no vehicle form, so we just play this like any other level, and we basically smash. I missed that first attack, or that big one attack, I don't know what it's called, but I promise you, I got to kill a lot more people this way. And it was great. You'll never even guess who was also a part of this kill count. Well, I guess not. Yeah. But along the way, we did manage to capture Cliffjumper. How do we do that, you may ask? We just slammed our back against the wall. The next level is Optimus breaking into the Decepticon prison, but he's not alone. He's with Jazz. Jazz is just a little bit behind me at the moment, so we're all good. Honestly, I really like this design for Optimus, which will come up later, and the great thing is, I got reminded that if you get some distance between you and an enemy, you can run them over. However, it took me a while to actually line up the, throw or drive, because I'm not exactly great at this game. I'm not exactly great at any game, but hey, vehicular manslaughter is all what we're all about. Then there's this bit where you have to open this door, and that's not why I brought this clip in, because then Optimus says to shoot the vents. Jazz also said to shoot the vents, and me and my non-thinking brain shoot the vents with my robot mode. And then as soon as I destroy it, I pause. I realize my mistake, so naturally, I reload the last checkpoint and have to do it correctly. The second time through, I do it in vehicle mode. Thank God I have finally recovered from that awful mistake. We get to see Optimus typing at a computer, which is entertaining. I mean, look at him. He just crouches over it like this, and it's just an insanely weird position. He decides to blow something up to create a diversion, and it kind of works, but I don't really know how. And Megatron sends some more Decepticons for us to shoot, which is pretty great. It did take him a while to actually address us in person, but you know what? I'm okay with it. And then they drop in one of my favorite enemies from the games. They drop in Leapers. Leapers are enemies you can only hit from behind. However, unlike the Insecticons that were a problem, you can actually shoot these guys in the back with guns. And it works, so we can take these guys down in vehicle mode, which I absolutely loved. Then you get a defend the position segment as where Jazz is trying to flee Cliffjumper, and this section tries to get you to use a turret, but there's a fun little thing that you can do where you can just not. It's really annoying, but it also makes this level insanely difficult. See, I died because Jazz got downed too many times. And by too many, I mean too many. I'm only showing you 2 here just to keep the video shorter. But finally, after I used enough, I came up with an idea. I placed a shield there. Some of you may call this a failure, and I'm willing to let that be. But at this point, I've been playing this one section for over an hour, and I just wanted to get it done. Because we still have a lot more chapters to go through, so I figured it was fine. I didn't directly do any damage. The Decepticons could have gone around the barrier, but they didn't. But finally, with all of that, we managed to get the just little bit that we needed to beat the level. By the way, I had been using myself as a bullet shield. Megatron captured us and decided that we were now his prisoners, never to leave again. And I here thought this was the end of the run, or at least the end of Optimus. Until we go in some Autobots and we start pulling some shenanigans. Those shenanigans involve Jetfire in his level, where he is one of those other characters that's fun to play as, considering the fact that, well, he's a jet. Also, one of his guns has unlimited ammo, which I love it when they do that. Mainly because it makes this challenge easy. There are a couple of times where you do have to transform into robot mode to clear some obstructions, like this purple gate. I tried shooting it, but that's not what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to trigger your Thunderblast ability in robot mode. Unfortunately, that's what I did. Reviewed the weapons I had in my robot mode just so I know what I'd never use. And then got back to flying once again. And then, of course, came across another purple gate. You do some fancy things with the computers to keep it simple, fly away before getting hit with the laser, and, what was the plan again? Oh right, the laser was the plan. It smashes into the prison, somehow destroying our cell without killing us perfectly, and we can climb right out. I still don't know how that was timed so perfectly, but anyway, we're moving on. Shortly after this level begins, Jetfire and Jazz and Cliffjumper decide to get away. I swear all these characters look the same, I can't tell who's who. And we get to go fight Megatron. The boss fight against him isn't really that bad. Normally it starts with you shooting these infected Autobots, or dead Autobots just resurrected, and then Megatron comes out and you have to shoot him. Normally, I do this fight in robot mode because I want to keep the fight interesting and I hope something cool happens, like the Fall of Cybertron fight. However, doing this in vehicle mode is definitely the way to go, considering I barely had to do anything and he gets back into the healing phase, where you can just do that and repeat the process. This fight is overbearingly easy in vehicle mode. Have I just been playing the game wrong? There were a couple of times where I almost got stuck on those soldiers because they don't die after you shoot them, they just go down, and then you get to fight Megatron again, but other than that, this was insanely easy, and I would do it again. The battle ends with basically Megatron and Optimus flashing their tits at each other and deciding to have a tit-off, where it ends with Megatron getting shot back, Optimus getting shot back. But Megatron's hurt more, and the Darkspark is sent away, never to be seen again. Until the rest of this terrible campaign. We then pick back up on Earth with Bumblebee, where his design is meh, it grows on me, but it's still not my favorite. I don't know what we're doing here, but I know we're killing. There is this section on a bridge where you have to transform to get across. Believe me, I tried it in vehicle mode numerous times, but it wouldn't work. So I just hopped over, dashed, transformed back in, and we're good to go. There is a section where you have to normally be a sniper to shoot at them from the cliffs with drift. However, I discovered for the first time, because I never thought to try it, that you can just drive straight off. You'll float down because the physics, for some reason, is just wanky, and then shoot the Decepticons or mercenaries, whatever the hell they are, from below. When the game tells you to move up to the next sniper point, all you have to do is transform into robot mode, get yourself close enough, grapple up there, and then you're free to move back down for the next shooting section. So, naturally, we're skipping this. Somehow, with Drift not being in our control, he doesn't remember to look to his left and right when entering a door, so he gets one hit taken down, which means that naturally it's up to us to save him. And by that, I mean, why the fuck were you so goddamn useless? Naturally, saving him requires us to totally not shoot 2 entire magazines at one enemy, despite the fact that it wouldn't ever take that amount to kill him. I don't think it was overkill, I think it was just me ensuring that he stayed dead so he didn't assault me with his bullets. Did I definitely need to do that again? No. No, I did not. But we're moving on to the next level. Yes, there's 2 levels. Oh, and enjoy this lovely bit of Stinger, who's literally just a red Bumblebee. This is the only time he appears in the game. He is not mentioned any other time, he never makes an appearance, so I don't know why he's in it. But here he is. You can enjoy it, or you cannot. It's up to you. I choose to not enjoy it because I don't know why they made Stinger when Cliffjumper is already in this game. They could have just brought a Cliffjumper somehow. Then you play as Drift in a pretty standard vehicle combat section. Of course, everything combat is vehicle combat to me, and I thought they were going to try and spice things up, and they did in the wrong way. They introduced a boss that is a Titan. Here's the thing, we've killed Titans before in this game. However, Bumblebee gives a headshot and it phases this Titan little. So the game has made an invincible Titan for us so we can do nothing but run. Believe me, I did want to kill it, but I figured out that the game actually made it invincible, so I decided to just drive away and come back later. And by come back later, I mean shoot it later, but I wanted some space first, and this whole section is just free. Then we're outside fighting, and throughout this whole thing, The Autobots make it seem like you're gonna die here when I'm like, no you're not, Bumblebee's here, 2 main characters are here, there's no way they're gonna kill you all. But they decide that you're gonna die here and you have to be prepared for it. I'm having the time of my life. I don't know what these guys are thinking. This level does somehow manage to get worse. Much, much worse. And it happens at the end. After this one weird line by Drift, there's no build-up, there's no hype for this. They just decide to give you 3 pounds on the gate, and out pops a terrible Grimlock. Like, what the hell? This is supposed to be my Grimlock, not this rampant horseshit. However, Grimlock, it does start in his Dino mode, which I am considering to be his vehicle mode for the remainder of this challenge. And we do get multiple ways to attack. You get to sprint at him, a melee, a gun, and an execution. A lot of you might say, well, that's too many things for a vehicle mode. Well, he has pretty much the same amount, except the shooting in his robot mode. This is the closest thing he has to a vehicle mode. Here's the thing. This game hypes up that one Titan so much, to the point where all I had to do was shoot it a little bit with my flamethrower and hit it 3 times, and then he's dead. Like, why was he invincible if that's all it takes to kill him? Then Lockdown and his goons break into a facility that I don't really know what's here. No one else really knows what's here because the game doesn't really explain it, but apparently we have to go stop him. So let's get into the final 2 levels. The next to last level starts us out as Grimlock, where once again I'm playing through his entire level with Dino mode. This level is really just not fun, so I want to skip over as much of it as possible, but of course I'm going to mention anything that is important, just like later on in the level whenever we have an unfortunate issue. The issue being that you have to throw the cars at this one thing. Believe me, whenever I first saw it, I realized I was going to have to, but immediately I decided, no, I can hit that with my flamethrower, so I transformed back into the Dino mode. Here's the thing, I hate this transformation sequence, I really do. But then I just kept hitting it with flame after flame, and yeah, this thing was not going to go down. I didn't want to stay here for hours, so I just decided, you know what, fine, I'll suck it up and I'll throw the car. And after that, there's really nothing else interesting that happens in this entire level. I think you just have 2 more fights and then a defend your position segment, all of which can be played normally. I think there's maybe one more area where you have to throw cars or something, but if you do, it's inevitable. Final level has us playing as Optimus, and I just gotta ask, how did we go from this bulky war design into this slim trash? Like, I get people like the design in Age of Extinction, but his arms are so small in this game that it makes me think Battle Pistol, which is his gun, is somehow bigger than his whole arm. Enemy placement is nothing special, and frankly it's just really disappointing. Like, I was expecting a little bit more chaos thrown in here, but no. Like, come on, throw in a Leaper or something. The only time I've got to see the modern day is Grimlock. But like, this is just kind of sad. The hardest thing about this entire level is just the fact that my machine guns aren't really that accurate. But again, you also are given rockets, so I think if the game got rid of one of the weapons in your vehicle mode, this game would have actually been a bit more of a challenge to play through in vehicle mode. There is a little bit right before the boss fight where you just go around shooting different pieces of infrastructure, which is pretty tedious. Like, it's not a challenge, it doesn't make any difference. You have guys running around and snipers shooting at you, but those snipers are easily dealt with the rockets because they can just track any enemy, which makes no challenge not really that much fun. I don't know how Bumblebee's health got so low. You know what, maybe he just needs help. The final boss fight against Lockdown, however, is another problem. It cannot be completed in vehicle mode, so you just stand here shooting at him. You shoot him till he has enough damage, he comes down, you hit him in a melee attack, and then repeat. It's not really that fun, and I'm skipping over it because why would I honestly play it? I mean, I'm gonna play it, but I'm not gonna show you it because with this video it's already taken a lot of time. After that fight, that's barely a fight, you get another titty off between Optimus and Lockdown. This one ends with Drift showing up for some reason, and him slicing off the crystal. I don't know how that makes Lockdown unable to fight, but it does, because then he gets one kick and he's out. With that, ladies and gentlemen, it can finally be done with this terrible. Thank you so much for watching, and unfortunately, we did not beat Transformers Rise of the Darkspark without staying in vehicle mode. I don't even know what you would call this one. But I'm working on other projects, just probably not this game again. I hope you all have a great day, and I will see you in the next one. Bye.